Abbie. It's really great to have you here today. What I'm going to do with Abbie today is just chat to her as the season's come to a close. Abbie, I just want to talk to you about some of the things that we're looking forward to next season, some of the things we do in the off season, and also basically what you've been up to at the end of this season. I've been coaching like girls, 8, 9, 10-year-olds. And I'm beginning to try and get them to look at tactics, especially the older ones, say 10, 11-year-olds. What I've been working on the last couple of weeks is we've been doing a session, like a netball session, but I've been splitting the pitch up into 3, so they're in channels. So I'll put 2 in this channel, which the girls really don't like. And the one thing they hate the most is the fact that it's netball. Yeah. And they'll say to me, Dave, well, this is netball, we've come to play football. And I'll say, well, I'm trying to sort out tactics for you, where you play, what you would do when the ball's in channel 1 instead of the other 2 channels. I mean, how do you work on tactics with your players?
Yeah, I think if those younger age groups, I always find that the channels or the zones, vertically, horizontally, are the way forward. But it's how you frame it, isn't it, to the players, especially young players who maybe think they're going to come and play a match and now they're stuck in some kind of zones. But I also find using the hands and playing handball is a great way just for spatial awareness and recognising where to go, because as soon as you then put the ball on the floor, they come back together, especially with those who are kind of beginning to understand the game, regardless of age groups. My niece's 13 has just joined a football team now, and even for her at that age to play, it probably would do her good to play with the ball in the hands, to understand the pitch. So I don't think it's an age thing, I think it's probably an experience and ability thing. But with the hands as well, I think you can just build it up. If they play with the feet first, and then you put the ball in the hands, then they suddenly spread out, and you can almost say, well, look, you've had the ball at your feet, now you've got the ball in your hands, why are you spreading out so much? Probably technically because they can throw it further than maybe they can kick it and get it more accurate, but I think you can just get the principles around creating space and the awareness of space and awareness of teammates. But I think that they can vary it, they can bounce it, they could have it in their hands and kick it out of their hands to a teammate. They can, like, when it gets thrown to them, they can control it with a part of the body and catch it. So I think you can like really start to layer up the kind of typical handball game as well to get them to maybe buy into it a little bit more. Yeah,
that's good. And also they do, when you make them stop and hold the ball, then it does give them time to look around and see where the players are and who's the furthest away, who's got a good chance of scoring. So I think that works really well like that. I've done some work with my under 10s with boys like that, and they respond quite well to it. I think sometimes with the girls it's like they don't want to, this is netball, whereas with the boys it's something basketball or whatever, so they like I say respond quite well to that. But that kind of takes us into the fact that the season, we played our last match at the weekend, and so the season's tailored off, but I assume you'll be developing stuff over the next couple of months into August. I mean, my under 10s will be going to under 11, so they're doing 7v7 to 9v9, so it's quite a big step for them.
Yeah. No, I'm working with a lot of coaches at the moment in kind of the day job who are going from 5v5 to 7v7, or a lot of coaches maybe going from 9-9 to 11v11. And it is a big one for the coaches, understand, but 2 for the players. Some are going to offsides, never played offsides before. And I think especially for boys, I think boys find the transition maybe a little bit easier from experience, either watching or watching coaches work with players or coaching myself, because they play things like FIFA and they play football computer games, or they watch football a lot more, so they understand offsides. They understand different formations, cam or a attacking, defensive midfielder, and all of those kind of terminology which relates to the 11v11 game. Whereas I think with females it's a little bit trickier. They don't watch as much football on the whole, and they probably don't play the typical football games. So I think that for them it's just how do we develop it. And I think for me it's back to your points around having zones, having the appropriate sizes, making sure in training sessions that you include offsides, making sure that you introduce some kind of positions and formations so they start to understand the terminology as well. But for me, just keeping it simple. So the principles, whether you're playing 5v5 or 11v11, are the same. Make the pitch big, try and create space, be comfortable when you get on the ball, but it's just like you said, it's that tactic side, isn't it? And then
Especially it works with with offsides. That's a really big thing for them to understand, because on Saturday I was looking at three of the goals at 7v7, which at 9v9 will be offside next season.
Yeah.
So getting them to we do little games 4v4 plus 3 where they have to play a through ball into a certain area when one of them can go and run onto it and shoot. So it's little ideas like that bring the tactics out, that help them to develop into that. But I mean, like the big point that you made there is it all comes from the 11v11 game. So everything we work on is building up to that game, because that's the bigger picture that we look at. How will your close season then? Will you have kids coming in throughout the off season, or will you have a big break then?
Yeah, well, for the team I was with last season, half of the team are moving on because they're too old now, so they're going into senior football, or some have got scholarships at different universities. So I've got a core which will stay, and some new players will come in, and some older players will come up to join. It will kind of be starting again, but on some kind of foundations with players, and we might get one or two added as the season goes on. Yeah. But I will be working with coaches who will be starting brand new teams, who will have an influx of players throughout the season. So from a coach development with coaches, it's a mixture. For me as a coach myself, we'll probably start in the next couple of weeks, will be kind of the first session. Yeah. And from there, I've got my core team, and that probably won't change too much, in and out a little bit until September, but then, fixtures come in. Yeah,
they do, and we've got, I've got, so 3 of my players I've developed since they were 7, and 3 of them have gone under 11. They will go into a group that are going to start playing on a Sunday as opposed to Saturdays. So they'll play in a different league. So we really push them on. So I get an influx of players now, a new lot of players to develop. So that always brings challenges, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Because when you've worked with players for so long and they just know exactly how you want to play, and suddenly you get 3 or 4 players in a team of 9, you got half the team are brand new. So do you work with? Do you have to work with new players that come in?
Yeah, I think so. I think just giving them. So in the past, we've had the teams I work with, some real clear, if you like, principles, but some common language as well. So when they come in, we've got some like visuals. It might be a pitch. So I've designed a football pitch, and then on one side it's make the pitch compact, so it's got that in the middle. We want to have at least 3 players getting into the other box, making the box. We want to try and show players outside. So it's a visual, and it's just got these keywords on it, and it's stuck up maybe in a change room, on the back of a whiteboard, laminated. So when players come in, they can just kind of look at that. And obviously I'm working with older players, so they can maybe process it a little bit easier than younger players, but still think even with younger players, having some real clear words which they can look at. So then when I come to coach, they can go, oh yeah, I remember that from that. Yeah. But also utilising the players which you've already got on the team, who you maybe did have last season, to develop their skills in, can you speak to such and such and help them understand this bit, or they're playing a similar position to what you played last season, can you give them a few kind of pointers, or what do you expect on match day, can you let such and such know what, because sometimes it's not the stuff on pitch, it's all the other stuff what comes with it, what happens on a match day, what happens when I turn up to training, all of those bits where maybe players feel nervous about coming, especially females, like stopping themselves from thinking, I've got to turn up to a new team, new players. It's a little bit daunting and scary for them. So how do we make it easier? Sometimes a little, and I think through lockdown we've done loads of stuff online and videos. A little video message to say, I'm your coach, this is what you can expect when you come to training. They can put a face to a name, to a voice. Yeah. And it's a little one which is sent out to the parents for the players to look at, makes them feel comfortable coming into new teams. Yeah,
I think that's really good, actually, a really good idea, because I know certainly with the girls, a lot of the girls that in our development centre won't have played in a team, and they continually ask me, when's the team, and now that they are going to be in a team, they're suddenly, okay, what do we do, who's in the team with me, where am I going to play, so all those things come in, especially with new players that turn up, because they've got to get to know each other and play with each other. But also, I have that with the boys as well. I mean, they are, they're really good. They come in and when they're new, it really helps to just get them all sat together and let them all chat and talk. But as you work your way through that, then and the tactics become more important, and your teams play matches. That's when you begin to develop their roles in the team, where they're going to play. Do you find that, I mean, because with the girls that you coach, because you coach an older group, do you find that they understand those tactics a lot better the older they are, or will it be something that they pick up?
Yeah, I think that it depends what their journey's been like to get to where they're at now. So some of them have had great coaches, great environment where they've been used to some of the technical and tactical knowledge put on them. Some may have come from different environments where it's been complete volunteer and it's just turn up, have fun and play, but they've got some kind of raw talent which has allowed them to get to where they've got to. I think as a whole in the female game, we'd like the knowledge to be a little bit further ahead than what it is compared to maybe if you've got a 16 or 17-year-old boy coming into your setup, probably the knowledge of the game would be a lot more than the knowledge of the 16, 17-year-old girls I come across. However, they do come with that kind of understanding, and we're lucky enough to get our games recorded when we play, so the girls have got something to look back at. So I think for their own understanding, watching the games back and being able to pick out moments and just encouraging them to watch more football. But yeah, certainly as it goes on through the season, it's something we try, but also try different formations so they experience different challenges.
Yeah, and I think that point that you make about watching the game is quite important, because you can say to them, you watch the centre forward you're playing there, or watch the right back. What does he do when the left back's got the ball, the right back's not running? Everyone seems to want to, all my under 10s especially, they all want to run the whole time, and I'll say to them, if you watch, most of the players are not running. Even on a counter attack, you'll get 3, 4, 5 of them running, but a lot of the defenders will just be walking up into the positions, because we don't run the whole time in the game. But one of the other things I also think is that I pull out sessions from that I've known for years. At the moment we do a lot of 4v1s boxes, 6v4 plus 2 magic men. So there's lots and lots of that kind of play. But one of the sessions I always use tactically, I don't know, do you remember Tony Carr, who was the West Ham Academy director? And he's brought through a lot of players like Rio Ferdinand and everyone. And he did something called third man running, which is basically, so you have you have your three, say it's your 3 front players, and then the one in the middle pass it out, and then you pass it across, and each time you pass the ball you have to run behind the person you passed it to, and it's great, and you move up, it moves them up the pitch. It's a really clever way to get players to interact. And then within that, then you'll add a defender, of course, so immediately the balls they're playing in to each other, suddenly there's a defender coming and they have to think more about it. And so I don't know, do you, I mean, the way at the moment is to play 6v6 plus 2 or things like that, but do you have sessions that you go back to?
Yeah, I think the same as you, like there's your sessions, isn't there? There's ones you pick out, there's the ones they'll work with any age group, there's the ones you can tweak and build upon. But the more I've been coaching, the more I've been trying to coach the 11v11 game, I guess, but it doesn't matter what age group, it just relate it back to the problems they're going to face when they come. So whether that's around trying to find space and spreading out, whether that's around how to a 4-4-2 against a 4-3-3 and the challenges, it doesn't need to be, but one, keep it simple so the players understand. If you don't understand it as a coach, I've come to learn. Sometimes I sat there with my session plan, I'm like, so what happens when that player, and I'm thinking, well, if I don't understand, how are they going to know?
True.
And also I've got to be able to explain it, and especially to females, like we spoke about before, I need to explain to them why and how this works and what the returns are, because they want to know it. Like you back to your netball bit, they want to know why are we doing this, what does this work on. So I think just with my practice design, I tried to think now, does it look like the problems they're going to face in the game, and try and keep it in, especially if you've got the luxury of having half a pitch or a whole pitch, are you setting up your practice? If you're doing your third man runs, are you doing it in the right areas of that pitch rather than doing it over in the corner? You've got all this space, can you do it in the middle where they're going to be maybe making those runs to break those lines? But yeah, and also just keeping it fun. I like to have some kind of direction, some kind of target, some kind of goals, because again, it just keeps them end to end as well.
Yeah, because you find that when you're doing an attacking session, you often find that people are not giving say you're doing 6 attackers with 3 defenders. The defenders have to have, say, maybe some mini goals at one end, at the other end of the pitch. So if they win the ball, they've got they can either play the ball out as they would be passing out the pitch to counter attack.
When I played, I was a defender, and there was nothing worse than getting the ball and just having to kick it out. I used to think, why have I come training for? And I just get the ball and I just kick it away. I want to be able to attack as well. Just because I'm a defender, I still want to get the ball and try and play. And you look at the games which are being played on TV at the moment, in both the men's and the women's game, defenders are good players. They get on the ball and they step in and they can play. So we've got to allow our defenders in practice to be able to have the opportunity to do that too, don't we?
Yeah, no, I think you are right. It is a lot easier to say to someone now, you're going to play right back, and you can pick out all the players that at the moment that we do see.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good. So so what will you do? So coaching your first session, say in August or whatever. What will you talk about fun, and you talk about everyone having a role to play. So what will your first session look like?
I just want loads of ball time, loads of contacts on the ball, loads of small-sided. I want the players to be fit, but I think for the first few sessions it's just about getting loads of touch on the ball. And I feel that as coaches we can make it high intensity, we can make it hard work, we can make them cover distances, but we can do that with a ball. Doesn't mean that there can't be an element of running in it. But touched on the ball too. They've come to play football. They've not played for a chunk of time, and for some people, take last season into account with COVID and stopping and starting. It's come in, let them have fun. Like you've mentioned before, a time to socialise and see friends because they might not have seen them very much either. But little stations where it's little technical sessions, but then 2v2s, 3v3s where they're working for periods of time where there is lots of running. You can make bigger pitches, smaller pitches based on kind of where they're at, and then just layer it up and make it more intense as the weeks go on, because we don't want to burn them out after session 1. And don't get me wrong, I think there can still be a bit of old school running in there, depending on what age group. I'm not being an advocate for under 9s and 10s running laps of the pitch, because I think that they can just come and play. And that would be my advice to coaches coaching in youth football. Just let them come and play, but have loads of touches on the ball. Doesn't need to maybe be all your tactical stuff. I won't be doing tactical stuff for the first few weeks, that's for sure. It'd be technical, fun, touch of the ball will kind of be my 3 or 4 bits. Because
it basically gives you an understanding of what they've been doing, whether they've been sat inside for the whole summer or whether they've been out playing, and also they have growth spurts, don't they? Because some kids come back after the summer break and suddenly their football boots are huge, and,
so true,
and they're tripping over their own feet. So that's good. Well, look, Abbie, it'd be great. I'm looking forward to coming along and watching one of your sessions
at the beginning. To you too.
At the beginning of the season. So that's great, and thanks very much for being on here today.
No problem. Good luck with the season.
Yeah, and you.